My community, the Rendile is still not very ready for a woman leader. And the reason why they are not ready, it's because of the propaganda that was being spread by the other aspirants or the other candidates.
In our culture is patriarchal. So much decision making is by men, such that it's the men who head the society and the household. And now the same society, they look down upon women because they feel that women have poor decision making skills.
As a woman, convincing the culture to vote for a woman was tough.
I came out to vie for the MP because of what I've done in this county. So many things towards empowerment of women, and I thought women could be the first people to support me. The women were being controlled by the men. They were being told where to vote. They don't make any decision apart from a few educated women.
13 years since the promulgation of the current constitution, several articles are yet to be implemented fully, and some still await the enactment by the parliament. Kenya are still paying the price of having too many nominations for failing to achieve the two-third gender rule during the elections. The achievement of the two-third gender rule seems to be a pipe dream a decade later, since the implementation of the constitution, which has preserved seats specifically for women in Kenya. Marsabit County is one of the 6 counties in the country that never elected a single woman, except for the women representative, a seat that is exclusively for women. Given an opportunity, a man could have been elected too there in the seat. Who knows? Illiteracy and cultural ties are the biggest impediment to the realization of women in leadership, be it political or social. According to the UN Women Report in 2015, illiteracy levels stand at 78% in Marsabit, making it the second least educated in Kenya. This limited education leave majority relying on what the male chauvinism culture dictates about the community. Nuria Golo is a human activist in Marsabit and a 2-time member of parliament aspirant squaring it with men. She believes the male-dominated culture and negotiated democracy discriminate women, throwing them off the cliff.
Decision making and leadership is about all spheres of life. It's not only about political leadership. And as a leader, I feel there's a gap of women in leadership in Marsabit County. Not that they are not learned, not that they don't have the capacity, but because of traditional norms which exist within our society, it is assumed that all leadership positions is for men. And especially in political leadership, there's what we call the negotiated democracy, whereby the elders decide who should go into leadership, and mostly it's men who are suggested and who are picked finally. For women, especially now, they know that there's a women rep seat. They feel that is the only seat which belongs to the women, and the women should not vie for any other seat. I'm a living example of that. I vied for MP in 2017. Among 3 men, I was the 4th. And when we went into election time, it was like, how can we choose a woman? Because parliamentarians are mostly men, and the woman can be lured by other men in the house, and she can leak the secrets of the tribe. So there are these stereotypes which hinder women from getting into leadership positions. Even MCAs, they believe, like we had 2 elected MCAs 2017, and 2022 none came back. We have 20 wards in Marsabit, and in the 20 wards, all elected MCAs were men. Because there's that stereotype and that, demeaning cultural belief that women cannot go into leadership. There are many sayings in mother tongue or our languages which demean women and believe that leadership is meant for men only. Most of the time, the women also become enemies of themselves. You see a woman and a man vying for the same seat, and you opt for the man. You don't believe in the women. Those are women who don't believe in themselves. If you don't believe in yourself, you can never believe in another woman. So that attitude change needs to happen. That women should believe this woman can do it. And don't see the woman as Nuria. See her as a woman like you, a woman like your daughter, a woman like your sister and your mother. So that once we change that attitude, the women can come into leadership positions, and women should support fellow women.
Christopher Ogom is a member of County Assembly MCA for Kargi Southor in Marsabit County. He vied for the same position in 2017 and him with other men were beaten in the race by a woman, Assunta Galigidele. Assunta lost in 2022 to Ogom after a fierce fight. Ogom believes that many voters are still rooted to cultural beliefs which belittle women leadership. He added that the women are marginalized across all levels as majority of them are not as educated as men.
Unfortunately, most of our electorates who elect us in different parts of this country and even our county are still rooted to our cultural beliefs. It's not something that we can rubbish it off that all the elected people have been elected based on maybe their capacity as a leader. Still have that belief that male individuals who vie for political position have a better chance because of cultural beliefs. It's still majority of our electorates who elect us are illiterate. They have not gone to school, first of all, to begin with. Secondly, they are not exposed, and they are not in tandem with the belief that we should give equal opportunity to both male and female. And you realize such kind of beliefs, such kind of cultural practices or beliefs drags us behind when we are doing selections or elections. Women are still marginalized at the bigger level because you see at a low level, still the head of household, people who own a property are still male because the people around our areas, especially the counties, Marsabit County, majority of them are still not schooled, so they still are inclined to their traditional beliefs.
However, Ogom is afraid that his community could replace him with a woman or any other leader should he not serve them right while in office. He says his community is gradually letting go of some cultures and so voting in women is possible.
Once a woman is going to be in power, she's going to be controlling. No, if you look around, like a good example is Kargi Southor Ward. Again, I go back, Honorable Assunta, I don't think whether she was controlling or she was too much controlling to any men. In as much as she had her own gaps in terms of political leadership, the only thing that I think and I believe people in Kargi Southor Ward felt they need to have a change is because of values, or probably because of agendas and manifesto, and the lack of that development needs that the community expected of her, but she never delivered. That's the element that she was unseated. And that's already a proof that the stereotypic mindset that people already have, that a woman once in power she's going to be controlling, it's dismissed by her. That's already a plus for woman in leadership. Now you can always draw and say, why then, if all women who are going to be in power are going to be controlling, why then former MCA was not controlling? She was leading our people well in as much in her own capacity. She did her best in her own capacity. But the best the community required maybe was way beyond her own level. So they felt, okay, she did her best, but we wanted better services. So she was unseated for not being brutal or all this stereotypic mindset that people have over women leaders. And it may also come to next election, probably we go to an election and I don't do that expectation that the electorate have over me. I'll be changed with someone else who will come in power because people felt like Honorable Ogom didn't do the best to this community or expectation that they had over me. So I went below the expectation they had. But if I do to the best of my ability, things contrary to what community requires, then I will need to be shown door. So someone else comes.
Dr. Elizabeth Pantoren is the only Rendile woman who has a doctorate degree in Kenya. The sociologist expert rose against all odds, including possible early childhood marriage, to become so educated and has served in several senior capacity in corporates. In 2022, she decided to jump into the ring full of 7 men, vying for a member of parliament for Lesamis constituency. Though she lost it, she says she will definitely bounce back in 2027. Dr. Pantoren says that she lost due to a flimsy reason for her community that believes in community warriors. Marsabit being a fragile county in terms of security, the community wanted warrior and not a member of parliament.
My community, the Rendile, is still not very ready for a woman leader. And the reason why they are not ready is because of the propaganda that was being spread by the other aspirants or the other candidates. They started attacking me in the areas of security. They said, we are living in a insecurity-prone area, and a woman cannot be able to defend you in case the Buranas or the Gabras will hit you. Where have you ever had a woman leading a war? And that targeted the Morans, and the Morans are many. That completely change the narrative. And then the other experience is the men. The elders. The elders were very okay until almost 1 week to the election. They seem to have had their meeting. They normally have a meeting in Napo. So these aspirants went through the Napos where women cannot go, in decision-making process among the Rendiles. It's the men that make decisions. So the last-minute strategy for the other candidates that were ahead of me was to now infiltrate into the Napos and change the mindset of the elders. And once the elders change the mindset that, okay, fine, we will not vote for that lady, and that was my other experience, that elders need to be kept close to the arms so that no one else can come in between.
Political campaigns are so demanding, and financial constraints and lack of resources is another major challenge for women in politics, according to Nuria Golo and Dr. Pantoren. Among communities in Marsabit County, a woman is not allowed to own any property and therefore cannot sell any property without the consent of her husband.
Politics is, capital intensive. You must be able to have a lot of money to influence, and I didn't realize until the last minute. 1 week to the election, or 3 days actually, not the election day, but money played a lot of tricks. The candidate with a lot of money, or the person who was sponsored most by the party, was the one who was able to win, because he played a lot of tricks on IBC guys. He also played a lot of money tricks with voters. Voters were bribed openly during the election, the day itself. And for me, being genuine and truthful, I was like playing clean politics. I didn't want to bribe voters. I wanted the voters to vote. I give them the right to vote without bribery. And so that is where I was seriously beaten by the three most candidates that were ahead of me, because they really used a lot of money.
Lack of resources is a major challenge. This is a very vast county. I think it's the second biggest, largest county in Kenya, and you have to go to all corners. Of course, you need logistics. You must hire vehicles. You must have supporters who will follow you, and when supporters follow you, you must cater for them. As much as also there's this policy that people should not be bribed. Politics is bribery, full bribery. Whichever meeting you go to, you must leave something. You meet the elders, you must leave something. You meet the women, you must leave something. And eventually, those whom you have supported might not even vote for you. How sure are you that these people are going to support you? So resources is a major challenge. You need a lot of money, and it is 50-50. Whoever you give the resources might vote you, might not vote you. Because what is determined mostly for people to vote is the political lineup and the negotiated democracy culture, which elders make a decision. But you have to cough money, enough money. And then other monies you also need for printing IEC materials. You see there are t-shirts, capes, your pictures, billboards, and everything. All these require resources. So if you don't have enough resources, you cannot get into politics and you cannot succeed.
Dr. Adhibinu is a nominated member of County Assembly in Marsabit County and the chair of Health and Committee member of Agriculture, Livestock and Fishery. She says the community, including women, have been wired to perceive women as poor decision makers. She advocates for civil education and sensitization on the need for achievement of the two-third gender rule.
And the most important is societal, cultural, economic issues. With societal issues in our culture is patriarchal. So much decision making is by men, such that it's the men who head the society and the household. And now the same society, they look down upon women because they feel that women have poor decision making skills, women have poor problem solving qualities. That is what they feel. Okay, and then the issue of still on cultural beliefs, they don't have confidence in women leadership, such that even if you vie, they don't support you. We need a lot of civic education. We have illiterate masses. We have to convince our ladies. We have to convince our elders that we are capable. And women leadership, we have advantage. We have advantage that as ladies, we nurture. And I can say boldly that women are less corrupt in the society. Because of our nurturing qualities, we can offer better leadership. The solution is that we have to broadly come out strongly and educate our masses to convince them that we are capable.
Dr. Binu's sentiments are echoed by Gedhia Mammo. Gedhia resigned from USAID, where she worked as a legislative assistant, and decided to try politics for the first time in order to change the narrative of women in leadership. She vied against other women for Marsabit representative and lost to the experienced Naomi Jilo Wako, the current deputy chief whip in National Assembly. She says the decisions are made by men for women. Literally, just as how men refers to women here as children, the decision made by a man on who to vote for is followed to the latter.
When the head of the house, who is a man, says, my house is going to vote this direction, the mother, the daughters will go that direction. So besides asking the women to vote for women, I would ask the men to support. Because if I, as a wife, say I'll vote for person A, and my husband for person B, my husband will have a bad image culturally, because he will be like, this man, even his wife is not with him, who can he convince? So it all goes back to the men. So can the men let us vote how we want, or can they also stop and say we can vote for a woman? If the head of the house says we're voting for this woman, the woman and the daughters will vote and the sons. You can't go against the man. It's still culture again. If you as a man goes this direction, your daughter goes against you, you'll be the laughing stock to your neighbors. He can't convince his daughter. Who is he telling?
Nuria Golo says she lost in 2017 because men had told their wives that voting for her could be the same as voting for them to be jailed for life. This is because during work in an non-governmental organization, she was so firm against vice like female genital mutilation and early childhood marriage. The perpetrator of this vice wanted their women against voting her in.
I came out to be an MP to vie for the MP because of what I've done in this county. So many things, countless, towards empowerment of women, and I thought women could be the first people to support me in my journey, but it all turned opposite because the women were being controlled by the men. They were being told where to vote. They don't make any decision apart from a few educated women. So, and what struck me is that prior to that, I had vied for women rep in 2013, and what I learned is that people don't vote you because of the capacity you have, because of what you know, because of what you do, but they vote you because of who you are, in the sense that to which tribe do you belong, in which political party are you, so that they can blanketly support all those who are in the same party. So when 2013 I went into women rep seat, and I believed the women and men of Marsabit will support me 100%. But the men used the support I gave to the women against me, saying that this is a human rights defender, and if she goes into this position, all men will be jailed. And whom did I fight for? I fought for the women. So that was used against me by the men, saying that once she gets into that position, all men will be taken to jail. And that's what people took.
Gedhia mentioned that it is possible for the men to allow their women to make decisions without forcing them to make those decisions. She is asking them to support women leadership without being carried by the waves of arcade cultures.
So besides asking the women to vote for women, I would ask the men to support. Because if I, as a wife, say I'll vote for person A, my husband for person B, my husband will have a bad image culturally, because he will be like, this man, even his wife is not with him. Who can he convince? So it all goes back to the men. So can the men let us vote how we want, or can they also stop and say we can vote for a woman? If the head of the house says we're voting for this woman, the woman and the daughters will vote and the sons. You can't go against the man. It's still culture again. If you as a man goes this direction, your daughter goes against you, you'll be the laughing stock to your neighbors. He can't convince his daughter. Who is he telling?
According to Dr. Chris Galgalo, who is a political analyst and educationist, is that women politics in Marsabit are governed by three phenomena, which is educational background, financial background, and position they hold in the community. Dr. Galgalo says the position they hold is determined by cultural phenomena, where women are determined on who she is in the community.
What governs the politics of women, particularly in Marsabit, are based on three phenomena. One is about the educational background. Two is about financial support. Three is about the position they hold within the society. So, and the position they hold is determined by cultural phenomena. It is a tradition that in some traditional phenomena or culture, women are determined by who she is in the society, either through marriage or who is becoming a leader. And so they look at her as a character in personality, perception. But from a cultural phenomena, women are regarded always as behind a man. So that is why there is a proverb which says, behind a successful woman, there is a man. So without a man, they cannot do anything. That's the perception of the cultural communities. But of late, they are now coming up with their own initiative of development and what have you. But the problem is now, when it goes to parliament, very few of them talk about the role they are being given and empowered by these people. The most important thing in politics is empowerment. Empowerment in terms of financial support, empowerment in terms of education, empowerment in terms of standing out alone to lead this community. But all in all, the problem is they are also inclined towards other men who will guide them to support them. Unless they do that, they cannot form a group of their own.
Dr. Galgalo wards into the long-old debate of women being woman's enemy as another cause. Negative ethnic nepotism and sexuality are other major factors that hinder women from scaling up into leadership in Marsabit County and among pastoralist community generally.
And in a certain book, when I read, it is written that women are the enemies of their own. Not only the men, but women are the enemies of their own. Even if she comes to represent a woman, and the women will say, no, they will start despising each other. And then secondly is about the culture. They say the women cannot lead us. They cannot lead us, and therefore it is the man preservative that he will lead, not a woman.
Isaac Dokle is a Rendile elder. He says culturally and traditionally, men are leaders of the house and the community. It is still a challenge to accept a woman as the one leading the community. Dokle says some men could find it difficult that their wives earn more than them. Then that could bring supremacy battle in the bedroom and the marriage may not last long.
Mimi nikiangalia pande yangu, pande ya kina mama, iko ile mambo ile kitamaduni.
From my angle of perspective about women, there is an archaic cultural belief that says a woman cannot lead a community. Nowadays, we see places that women lead are more developed compared to those of men. Especially in my community, Rendile community. My community are still lagging behind in terms of political arena. From the previous election, we had women who vied for political seats and they lost election due to this archaic belief.
Kumbania kiti na hiyo ni makosa, hiyo imekusha, wakati hiyo imepita. Jambo lingine, hata banda ya kina mama,
women themselves are their own enemies. They are majority in the community and in the country. Hence, they should support each other.
Majority ni wengi kwa population. Kina mama badala kujenga mama mzawa, wanaanza kukimbilia nyuma chini ya wanaume. Hapa ndio kina mama ndio wanafeli. Kwa hii jamii yetu ambao wafukaji, kwa kusema kweli,
our pastoral communities are also still behind in terms of embracing women leadership because they feel that when a woman leads, a man will be in trouble.
Bado iko kwa akili ya yetu sisi wanaume. Mtakuja kutukalia juu. Hapa ndio kidogo hata hiyo nachangia mkose kuchaguliwa.
The elder says it is difficult to allow a woman to move around at night campaigning while the husband is also campaigning for her in the opposite direction. The issue of sexuality is so strong that the men could rather sacrifice human ambitions.
Hiyo hakuna na italeta mambo mbaya, itafika kiango hata
it will reach a point where you can divorce or separate with each other. Personally, I cannot allow my wife to move around alone at night looking for supporters. That cannot happen at all.
Hiyo si haitakuwa bibi yangu saa hiyo. Shida iko wanyaguzi wengi nje. Sasa hiyo akiwa huko kwa nyumba, hiyo ni yeye na Mungu yake. Lakini hii hadharani kwenda huko na huko, hapana.
She would rather be my wife or try to be a wife of other people. We don't trust people outside there.
Mapato ile atakayopata si ataleta kwa hii nyumba tu basi, lakini sio ati aniambia wewe kaa hapo kwa watoto alafu anaenda huko. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo.
President William Ruto has in the past promised to bridge gap through the implementation fully of the 2-third gender rule. While 2027 is fast approaching, we are waiting to see how women will perform in various elective seats. This is a feature about women in political leadership in Marsabit County, produced by Grace Kumato and with support of the African Women in Media.